Hello students and welcome to the lecture. So students, as we know that we are covering the financial knowledge and basically we are covering the banking awareness part of it, right? That's the thing which we are covering. And in the last lecture, what we have started our discussion over the IBBI. All right. The full form of IBBI is Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India. Okay, IBBI. Got it? We have seen several facts and figures regarding the IBBI. Like in the previous lecture, we have covered the introduction, we have covered the background, we have covered the establishment, all right, and we have taken an overview of the objectives. Got it? About the insolvency and the bankruptcy, I have explained you by a simple manner that when a condition, let's just do a little bit revision. Okay, insolvency and the bankruptcy, right? So I had told you this is two things which are related with each other but different from each other. How? If we talk about the assets and liabilities, right? So I had told you when the liabilities are become more than your assets, okay? So then it's a condition of what? It's a condition of insolvency. Why? Because any organization which is facing that particular condition, it means that they do not having a sufficient resources or assets to discharge of their responsibilities or liabilities. Okay, in such a case they will declare themselves as an insolvent. Okay, so these assets will liquidate, the amount will recover and distributed amongst the creditors or the investors of the XYZ. Okay, about it we have seen, we have discussed. All right, thereafter what we have discussed also, like there are two things, IBC and IBBI. What's the difference between them, IBC and the IBBI? Okay, so basically if we talk about the first one, which we called as the IBC, okay, so IBC stands for the insolvency and bankruptcy code, right? Insolvency and bankruptcy code 2016. Got it? And section 188 of that particular act gives insolvency and bankruptcy board of India. Okay, in short known as IBBI. Got it? So this is the scenario. All right, IBC is a separate code which is passed in the 2016 and gives the statutory power to the IBBI under the section 188. Okay, so these are the details which we had discussed in the previous lecture. I hope that you have revised that lecture before you have come for this lecture. It is for your own benefit. Now let's move forward. So basically now we have the objectives. This is what we had seen in the previous lecture. Like this is an basically you can say the overview, okay, about the objectives of an IBBI. Okay, the primary objective of the Insolvency and the Bankruptcy Board of India is to regulate and oversee the functioning of key participants in the insolvency and the bankruptcy resolution process, including insolvency professionals, insolvency professional agencies, and information utility, in short known as IU. Okay, in the previous lecture, I had told you that this is a time bound process. Okay, whenever there is an organization which is which is facing the continuous loss, all right, that particular organization is not able to sustain itself because its assets are lower than its liabilities. So in such a case, when they will declare themselves as an insolvent, so their process of becoming insolvent to the bankrupt or discharging of their assets, liquidate their assets, recover the amount, this all process is well defined, and this is known as the time bound process because it has to be done in a particular time period. Okay, so now let's begin. So the first objective is regulation of insolvency professionals. Okay, insolvency professionals plays a crucial role in the insolvency and the bankruptcy resolution process. They are licensed and registered individuals who take on the responsibility of managing the affairs of a debtor during the insolvency process, ensuring a fair and efficient resolution. Okay, the IBBI regulates IPS or the insolvency professionals by accrediting, registering, and overseeing their activities. This regulation serves several important purposes. Now here is something which we require to learn of. The first is the insolvency professionals. The first question is who they are. What do you mean by the insolvency professionals? The insolvency professionals who playing a critical role in the insolvency and the bankruptcy resolution process, who they are. So basically, these are the individuals who having the knowledge of the steps to be followed in insolvency and the bankruptcy resolution. All right, and they are registered with the IBBI. Okay, and even they are licensed with it. Okay, it means that they have been granted a formal power by the IBBI to carry out the you can say operations. All right, and whenever they receive, remember, not only they, whenever any individual firm, corporate, whatever you can say, obtaining a license from some source, then that particular source which has granted the license to him will be act as what? Regulator. Got it? So if we go by this law, particular law, then in such a case, the insolvency professionals are the professionals having the registration and the license with the IBI. So technically, the IBBI becomes the regulator. It regulates them by accrediting, registering, and overseeing their activities. All right, and it's having some important purposes like first is ensuring competence. What do you mean by it? Let's see. The IBBI assesses the qualification, the experience, and the professional competence of individuals applying to become the IP. This ensures that only qualified and the capable professionals are entrusted with the task of handling insolvency cases. Okay, like you can say, suppose this is an IBBI. Okay, this particular person files his application with the IBBI and said that he want to become a insolvency professional. Okay, so now the case is, will IBBI give the license to him or register him easily? Is there any criteria? Is there any scale on which that particular person will be assessed? So there is a particular criteria. And what is its criteria? They ensure the qualification of that particular individual, experience of that particular individual, and the professional knowledge, or you can say professional competence of that particular individual. Okay, as per the prescribed manner. Okay, so as per the prescribed manner, their qualification, their experience, their professional competence will be judged of, will be assessed before granting the license and the registration to them. This ensures that only the qualified and the capable professional will be entrusted or are entrusted with the task of handling insolvency cases. So it is the first objective. Okay, ensuring competence. Second is setting standards. The IBBI establishes and enforces professional and ethical standards that insolvency professionals must adhere to, maintaining the integrity of the process and protecting the interests of creditors, debtors, and other stakeholders. Okay, like if you go by the second term, setting standards. So, what is written down in this particular paragraph? Let's decode it. So, IBBI establishes and enforces professional and ethical standards. All right, to ensure that the integrity will be maintained and the process is not only inclined towards one party. Okay, like if we talk about, suppose this is a particular organization XYZ. All right, so if we talk about the parties involved in it, so basically it's having three parties: owners. Okay, after owners, there comes the creditors or the investors. Basically, investors is the appropriate word. Investors, and then comes the stakeholders. Okay, so if there is a condition of assets are, okay, let me write down again. If this is the condition, assets are lower than the liabilities. If this is a condition, what will happen? The owners will become a debtors. Okay, the investors will become a creditors. The stakeholders, who will be the stakeholders? Employees. Okay, and then customers who were consuming the products, and financer, all right, or etc. Got it? So if we talk about it, so when the insolvency professional when the insolvency professional takes the task of insolvency and the bankruptcy, so the IBBI ensures that that particular individual should not be inclined towards one party. It means that it's only ensuring the interest of stakeholders, investors, or the owners. No, there will be a constant support towards the owners, debtors, towards the investors, creditors, towards the stakeholders, who will be the employees, who will be the customers, and the financer, and etc. All right, it means that when the assets will be liquidate, when the asset will be liquidate, or you can say when the XYZ will become a bankrupt, then all of them will get a fair and effective measures or distributions. Owners, investors, and stakeholders rights of all of them should be protected. Okay, so this is the setting standard. It means with professional ethical standards must be maintained. All right, thereafter, next is our monitoring performance. What do you mean by it? The IBBI monitors the performance of IPs during the insolvency proceedings and takes disciplinary actions in cases of non-compliance or the misconduct. Like as I have told you, whenever there is an individual who obtained a license from somewhere, then the source from which it has obtained a license will become a regulator, right? And by the name only, you can conclude that the regulator is having some duties to be performed. Like they have to set the rules and regulations first, okay, and they have to ensure compliance of it, like whether the rules and regulations are to be followed or not. Okay, similar thing happens here. In such a case, the IBBA is a regulator. The insolvency professionals are the individuals whom the IBBI is tasked to control and regulate. So first, the IBBI sets the rules and regulations which are to be followed during the process of insolvency and the bankruptcy. Second, the IBBI gets the task to ensure that all of them who have obtained a license from the IBBI must be performing as per the rules and regulations described. Okay, if not, then disciplinary actions could be taken. All right, if non-compliance is found or the misconduct is found. All right, so remember, this is the monitoring performance. Thereafter, regulation of insolvency professional agencies. Now, after the insolvency professional, there is another term, you can see it here also, the insolvency professional agencies. What do you mean by it? The insolvency professional agencies are the entities that are involved in the accreditation, registration, and oversight of insolvency professionals. Okay? They act as an intermediaries between the IBBI and the IPs. Their primary role is to facilitate the efficient functioning of the insolvency professional. Now, by reading this particular paragraph, I have obtained a particular diagram in my mind. Let me share it with you. Insolvency professionals, insolvency professional agencies, insolvency and bankruptcy board of India. Okay. This is the flowchart. Got it? Insolvency and the Bankruptcy Board of India, then the insolvency professional agencies, then the insolvency professional. Basically, what's happened that the IBBI provides the registration and licensing to the insolvency professionals, but IBBI do not directly control them. Okay, so in between of them, they having the insolvency professional agencies. Okay, which act as a intermediary. All right, because the insolvency professionals are so many, the IBBI not having only the you can say task to look after them, but also having to manage the entire process of the IBC code. Got it? So that's why it is not possible that the IBBI will look after each and every individual professionals effectively and efficiently. Okay, so what happens? The insolvency professionals information, yeah, insolvency professional agencies work as an intermediary between the insolvency and the bankruptcy board of India and the insolvency professionals. So here you can say there are two flow. The first flow is the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India sets the rules and regulations and the, you can say, guidance provided to the insolvency professional agencies. Thereafter, the insolvency professional agencies transfer the same to the insolvency professional. Okay. Similarly, if the insolvency professionals done some misconduct or non-compliance, having some issues and suggestions, they pass it to the insolvency professional agencies. Thereafter, the insolvency professional agencies pass it to the insolvency and the bankruptcy board of India. Okay, so please remember this diagram. This will be very helpful for you to retain the things in your mind for a long time. Okay, so as we have discussed, they act as intermediaries between the IBBI and the IPs. Primary role is to facilitate the efficient functioning of the insolvency professionals. Okay, so the first step in it is a quality control. All right, the IBBI assesses the credibility and the capabilities of IPAs to ensure that they maintain high standards in selecting, training, and supporting insolvency professionals. Because the IBBI will not directly contact the IPs, but the IPA will done it. All right. So it is very necessary that the IPA will be well definedly controlled by the IBBI. Okay. So that the IPs could be controlled also. Thereafter, preventing conflicts of interest. What do you mean by it? Let's see. The IBBI sets the guidelines to prevent the conflicts of interest between IPAs, ensuring that their primary focus is on upholding the integrity of the insolvency resolution process. Okay, like you can say, suppose this is the IBBI. Okay, thereafter, there are 3 IPA. All right, and thereafter many IPs. IP, 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 and so many IPs are there. All right. So what happened? Maybe these particular agencies who having the IPs of them, okay, maybe someone having more, someone having less, and whatsoever. So what will happen? There are chances their interests could be collide. Okay, they will try to attract more IPs to them. All right, they will generate a dispute amongst them because of some performance of the IPs, the regulations, and whatsoever. So this is the responsibility of IBBI to ensure that their conflict of interest should not be there. It means it is to be ensured by the IBBI that their prime focus is to uphold the integrity of the insolvency resolution process, not on safeguarding their interest. Got it? So this is the term preventing conflict of interest. Got it? Now let's move forward. Thereafter, we have the regulation of the information utilities. What do you mean by it? Let's see. Information utilities play a crucial role in the insolvency process by maintaining a comprehensive database of financial and the operational information related to the borrowers. This information is used to support the resolution process and facilitate decision making by the creditors and other stakeholders. Now, however, we will learn about it in the upcoming slides or upcoming lecture. But here is one thing which I will make sure that you got it here. It is very little overview. Okay, the information utilities is basically deals with the data available. Got it? It is basically a data which is available. All right. So you can say when there is an agency called the XYZ, all right, how to liquidate it. What are the current assets? What are the liabilities? How many members having how many assets? How many members having how many liabilities? How these things could be defined because of the available data. Okay. And only by going through the data, the insolvency professional will be able to initiate the process of insolvency and the bankruptcy. Okay, so the IBBI ensures that the information utilities must be regulated so that the accurate and the correct information will be provided to the insolvency professional so that integratedly and you can say efficiently the process could be carried out. Okay, thereafter, in the regulation of information utilities, the first step is data accuracy and the integrity. The IBBI ensures that the information utilities maintain accurate and reliable data, which is crucial for making informed decisions during the insolvency process. Okay, so as I have told you, the first basic step is to maintain the accurate and reliable data. It means that the data must be clear, must be accurate, and must be authenticated. If the data is not authenticated and the decisive, then what will happen? The wrong decisions will be taken off and the rights of stakeholders, the creditors, and the debtors will be hindered. All right. So it is the first step in the regulation part. Thereafter, the accessibility and the security. The IBBI sets guidelines to ensure that the information stored in the information utilities is accessible and authorized to users while maintaining the stringent security standards to protect the sensitive data. Okay, so there are two terms, accessibility and the security. Okay, accessibility means the data must be open, could be easily accessed. Okay, but the security means could be easily accessed by the insolvency professional only. Why? Because that person requires the data so that he could initiate the process of insolvency and the bankruptcy. So he required a easy accessibility. Okay, but if the data, or you can say the sensitive data, leaked or accessed by the outsiders, by the creditors, okay, by the stakeholders, so do you think that there could no manipulation? Is there any possibility? No. Maybe the data could be manipulated, okay, and could lead towards the chaos. So to handle such kind of situation, it is very, very important that the data must be accessible to the insolvency professional, but not to the stakeholders, creditors, and all. Okay, to protect the sensitivity of the data and ensure the right decision should be taken on the right time. If we move forward, now this is the regulation part. Okay, so students, we will start the regulation part in the next lecture. Till then, just make sure that you revise all the facts and figures regarding the objectives which we have discussed in this particular lecture. All right, because when you make sure that you have gone through the objectives of any particular organization, other facts and figures related with that particular organization will become more easy to grasp for you. All right, because right now you are well aware about that what were the grounds why that particular organization was established. Okay, so in the next lecture we will start with the regulation. Right now we have finished with the introduction, with the background, with the establishment and the objectives part. Okay, so please make sure that you revise them all. Okay, so that you should not compile it the data for your examination time. Okay, so release the data on a daily basis, revise them, grasp the facts and figures in a proper manner. All right, and with this note, let's end this lecture. And what we say thank you.